My name is Jim Posewitz, and I have been living, hunting, and fishing in Montana for well over a half-century. The Lewis and Clark expedition described the wildlife resource that they found here as something that exceeded anything the eye of man had ever looked upon. These hills were covered with bison. There were elk, antelope, deer. The wildlife resource that once lived here went through a very dark period. They were killed for hides, tongues, and just for the sake of removing them from the landscape. We had reduced that resource to nothing but a pile of bones. And out of that darkness grew the hunter-conservationist movement. The hunters of America sought to end the commercial use of wildlife and began instilling a conservation ethic in our culture. And as a result, we have elk restored through reintroductions in the 50s, bighorn sheep in the 1980s. The antelope and deer populations from the remnants have grown up to a new wonderful abundance. And when Theodore Roosevelt was in the White House, there were about 5,000 elk left in Montana. There are now 150,000 elk in the state of Montana. The entire pyramid of wildlife that was once here is almost all back, but we're short one species. Wild, free-ranging, huntable buffalo. The idea of neglecting the restoration of buffalo, I think, would be inexcusable at this phase in the evolution of the hunter conservation movement. And there's probably no better site in North America than the C.M. Russell Wildlife Refuge to begin the restoration of wild buffalo. It's a vast million-acre tract of public land just simply waiting for these animals to come back. The landscape here is much the same as it was when the bison were extirpated by the commercial slaughter. We have shown that we can restore elk, we can restore bighorn sheep, and the idea of adding bison to the list of species that can be hunted here as wild, free-ranging animals, this is an exceptional opportunity. And we not only have an opportunity to expand the hunting options that we can pass to the future generations, but we also have a moral responsibility. This was the most abused animal on the continent, and we have a chance to correct that. All through American history, it's been the sportsman-hunter that has carried the conservation ethic forward and restored wildlife to an entire continent. Wildlife conservation began in America when Theodore Roosevelt set us on that course, and it's going to be up to the sportsman to get behind it, to bring that last animal back to where it belongs on this landscape.